And visuals coming in right now of King Charles III, who's officially been proclaimed as the UK monarch. You can see there's several attendees who have come to attend this big event as King Charles III has officially taken over as the UK monarch. Remember, it's the first time in UK's history that the ceremony is broadcast live. So the first broadcast live to have happened in UK's history of the king or a queen taking over as being proclaimed as the UK monarch. The visuals there live on your screens of Charles III proclaimed as UK's new monarch. This, of course, comes after Queen Elizabeth II passed away at the age of 96 on Thursday. So a ceremony that is underway to have proclaimed King Charles III as a British monarch. A council of senior politicians and officials have also gathered at St. James Palace in London for this accession ceremony. Niranjan is there with us. Niranjan, if you could talk to us more about how significant it is, given that it's the first time that the ceremony has been held. It's been broadcast live since 1952.
Yes, and these are live pictures coming in. Live pictures coming in of King Charles III. Now being proclaimed the king. Just to give you a little bit of an idea about who's here, Charles is being accompanied at the ceremony by his wife Camilla, the Queen Consort, his eldest son Prince William. Prince William is now heir to the throne, and he will be known by the title that Charles was known until recently, which is the Prince of Wales. And after this ceremony, we are told, Samiksha, an official will read the proclamation aloud from a balcony at St. James's Palace in London. It will also be read out in the medieval city of London and at all locations across the UK. So this is, of course, a very old tradition that is being carried out. And this is happening 2 days after the 96-year-old Queen Elizabeth II died at the Balmoral Castle in Scotland, following an unprecedented 70 years on the throne. And you're seeing all former UK Prime Ministers there as well. Two former Prime Ministers in the frame that I can see, Tony Blair, Boris Johnson, and a host of political leaders in the UK, ministers, former ministers, prime ministers, former prime ministers, they're all here, along with people who've come in the thousands to pay their respects outside the palaces. And just to give you an idea, in this particular ceremony, this is King Charles, who has now officially been announced as Britain's monarch. This is a very ancient tradition in the UK, and just to reiterate, it's also the first time in UK's history that it's been broadcast live. So Charles has automatically now become the king. So I'm just trying to get details of that. If you can just take it over for a few seconds.
Yes. Well, that's right. So the visuals there live on your screens of King Charles III, who's been officially proclaimed as the UK monarch. Remember, this comes after Queen Elizabeth II breathed her last on Thursday, she died at the age of 96 years. It's the first time the accession ceremony is taking place since 1952. Charles there, who has now become the king when the Queen breathed her last on Thursday. The accession ceremony, remember, is a constitutional and ceremonial step in introducing the new monarch to the country. The visuals on your screens, in which you can see several dignitaries, including the likes of the former Prime Ministers of UK. We can see Boris Johnson there as well. So King Charles III, who has now been officially proclaimed as Britain's monarch in a ceremony that is steeped in ancient tradition and political symbolism as well, and for the first time broadcast live since 1952. What it essentially means that this accession ceremony, which is taking place, is a key constitutional and ceremonial step in introducing the new monarch to the country of Britain. The ceremony, which is taking place at St. James Palace, which is a royal residence in London, is attended by the Accession Council, senior politicians and officials who will advise the new monarch. They will meet without Charles to proclaim him sovereign, officially confirming his title, Charles III. Niranjan is back with us. Niranjan, over to you. We can see the UK Prime Minister there as well. Take it away.
Yes, live pictures now coming in. I think you just saw Liz Truss there. Liz Truss, the new UK Prime Minister who's just entered that room where, yeah, you see the family members of King Charles III entering that hall. Let's see if we can cut across live to the feed and the audio beaming live from London.
I have, with humble duty, to crave your Majesty's permission for the publication of your gracious speech.
Approved.
Concerning the security of the Church of Scotland.
I understand that the law requires that I should, at my accession to the Crown, take and subscribe the oath relating to the security of the Church of Scotland. I am ready to do so at this first opportunity. I, Charles III, by the grace of God of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and of my other realms and territories, King, Defender of the Faith, do faithfully promise and swear that I shall inviolably maintain and preserve the settlement of the true Protestant religion as established by the laws made in Scotland in prosecution of the claim of right, and particularly by an act intituled An Act for Securing the Protestant Religion and Presbyterian Church Government, and by the acts passed in the Parliament of both kingdoms for union of the two kingdoms, together with the government, worship, discipline, rights and privileges of the Church of Scotland. So help me God.
I now invite the witnesses to His Majesty's oath to sign both copies of the instrument. Draft of an order in Council authorising Your Majesty's declaration to be made public.
Approved.
Draft of an order in Council for recording the oath relating to the security of the Church of Scotland, to be transmitted to the Court of Session, to be recorded in the books of Sederant, and afterwards lodged in the State Papers of Scotland and in the Council Register.
Approved.
Draft order in Council determining the form of proclamation for proclaiming Your Majesty in the realms and in the British Overseas Territories.
Approved.
Draft of an order in Council authorising the Lord Chancellor to make use of the Great Seal for sealing all things whatsoever that pass the Great Seal until another Great Seal be prepared and authorised.
Approved.
Draft of an order in Council authorising the Lord Privy Seal, if need be, to make use of the existing Privy Seal until another Privy Seal is prepared and authorised.
Approved.
Drafts of 3 orders in Council authorising Your Majesty's principal Secretaries of State, the Lord Chancellor of the Exchequer and the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, to use the existing seals until other seals be prepared and authorised.
Approved.
Draft of an order in Council authorising Your Majesty's Secretary of State for Northern Ireland to make use of the existing Great Seal of Northern Ireland until another seal be prepared and authorised.
Approved.
Draft of an order in Council authorising Your Majesty's First Minister of Scotland to make use of the Great Seal of Scotland until another Great Seal of Scotland be prepared and authorised.
Approved.
Draft of an order in Council authorising Your Majesty's First Minister of Wales to make use of the existing Welsh Seal until another Welsh Seal be prepared and authorised.
Approved.
Draft of an order in Council authorising the public seals authorising the respective public seals lately in use elsewhere than in the United Kingdom to be made use of until new seals be prepared and their use duly authorised.
Approved.
Draft of an order in Council confirming Your Majesty's wishes in relation to the Sovereign Grant Act 2011 to continue the tradition of surrendering the hereditary revenues, including the Crown Estate, to your government for the benefit of all, in return for the sovereign grant, which supports your official duties as head of state and head of nation.
Approved.
Drafts of 2 proclamations. 1. Appointing the day of Her late Majesty's state funeral as a bank holiday in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. 2. Appointing the day of Her late Majesty's state funeral as a bank holiday in Scotland. And of 2 orders in Council directing the Lord Chancellor to affix the Great Seal to the proclamations.
Approved.
I now invite Your Majesty to sign both proclamations. And that, Your Majesty, concludes today's business for the Council. May I now invite the deputation party and the witnesses to the oath to exit via the picture gallery and the matted hall. I now ask Privy Councillors present to exit via the picture gallery and the matted hall and invite you to sign the proclamation, which is laid out in the lower corridor. Thank you all for attending today.
Viewers, King Charles III has formally been proclaimed at this ornate and solemn ceremony in London at the St. James's Palace. Alongside him also were Queen Consort Camilla and the new Prince of Wales and heir apparent to the UK throne, that is William, Prince of Wales. We also saw a number of former Prime Ministers of the United Kingdom there. There was Boris Johnson, Theresa May, David Cameron, Tony Blair, and also the new Prime Minister Liz Truss, all of them who had been invited to form governments by Queen Elizabeth II, who passed away. She had invited in such a manner 15 different Prime Ministers, starting with Winston Churchill and finally with Liz Truss just 2 days before she died. The King Charles III era has begun in the UK.